Hi, it's Kirk. We've got Andy with me. We're interviewing the St. Neots Cambridgeshire band, hardcore band, Own Your Life, who absolutely devastated the audience at Club 85 in Hitchin 2 weeks ago. So we've got Chris Hatch, the guitar player, and Sam Curtin, the vocalist. And
Yeah.
Sam, am I guessing, are you the lyricist as well?
Yeah.
Excellent. Right. So I'm actually going to start with a light-hearted scenario before we move on and talk about your latest EP. So we know you're a hardcore metal band and you've got quite a lot of influences coming into the melting pot. So I'm going to give you 4 scenarios and you've got to work out how you would describe your music to these people. So the first one, we're going to go for England manager Gareth Southgate. If you're in a conversation with him, let's imagine he knows nothing about your music. How would you describe your music to him?
If it's Gareth Southgate, I would think he didn't really care about metal, and I'd say, mate, I'm in a rock and roll band. Check it out. I wouldn't really be too bothered. I'm in a metal band, mate. We play music. You might like it.
I tend to do that. Do you know when you speak to people who obviously don't listen to it, I use that archaic term heavy metal at times. When heavy metal to me is Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, isn't it? Not you wouldn't use that term to describe Slayer, for example, would you?
Yeah, dig down into
exactly.
Yeah.
Second one, the former model Jordan, also known as Katie Price. How would you describe your music to her?
Oh, bloody hell. Probably similar thing, mate. Just like, we play really extreme music. Like, you won't like it.
We don't want you to like it. Is that what you're saying?
No. Not that you don't want you to like it, but you probably won't like it. But it's there if you want it. A heavy metal band is what I would probably say.
Okay, just 2 more then. The next one is ex-Cannibal Corpse vocalist Chris Barnes.
Okay.
Good one. So I mean, be more in depth to him because he's what a legend, what a guy, and I'd like to try and I'd say we're a hardcore band and we've got like death metal influences and black metal influences in there because obviously him being a death, gore person himself, he'd probably be more interested in the death metal side. So I like to think there is some death metal-y type riffs in there. So that's how I describe it.
Okay, last one, and then I promise we will go on to more serious topics. Let's imagine the English Arts Council are awarding grants to artists in Cambridgeshire, and you apply for it, and at the end you've got to describe your music. How would you describe that to this English Arts Council?
Heavy metal hardcore with truth in the lyrics. Coming straight out of St. Neots, like heavy hitting. I think that's
I think you'd be at your most
something
serious
like
then,
that.
What's that?
You'd be at your most serious then, wouldn't you, when you describe it? If they're saying, hey, we'll give you this grant and you can go and record an album. I don't think it would be at Abbey Road Studios, but something like that.
I suppose if it's a bit serious down to it, it's hard to give it a label because it is many things. It's like I think you said it in the video you did pre-Metal to the Masses. It's metallic hardcore, metalcore, something along those to pigeonhole it. But I don't really even like doing that. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because metallic hardcore, when I review those bands, a lot of that is they sound like hardcore bands playing thrash metal, like crossover.
Yeah.
As certainly you're right. When you listen to track number 2 on This Hate, Never Admit Defeat, even though the sentiment is hardcore, that technical riff at the beginning is more like Boat Thrower and Memoriam, isn't it? There's a clear death metal angle to that.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
Andy, you're the one who so you've been listening to Own Your Life for some time, haven't you? And Jake from Jackal's Backbone mentioned you guys before, but I hadn't actually listened to any of your records. Andy, just to tell our viewers, how did you discover Own Your Life?
It was probably maybe your first appearance at Metal to Masses in Hitchin pre-pandemic, sort of 2017, 2018. I'm sure that's when it was. I think maybe my bandmate Sam Farrington had a shirt of yours that sort of made me, recognise the name, and I checked you out in your heat. Going back all those years.
Yeah, I remember that.
I certainly come away with a copy of your first EP on CD. I don't think you had any T-shirts, but I bought a few since, haven't I?
Yeah. I think you've been to like every gig we've played as well. So
anything within sort of fairly local. Yeah, there's one or two I didn't make, and one or two that didn't happen, unfortunately. Shall I carry on with a few questions, Kirk, or do you want to ask?
Sure, yeah. You ask some.
I'll pick up first of all what Dave would normally ask, and that's the band name. What does it mean? Where did it come from?
Well, when we first got this band going in 2015, like me and Colin, ex-guitarist, like I was start pulling names out of the hat, basically. Like I don't know, like simple ones that mean nothing, like burden and things like that. And I was in the gym one day and I was just trying to think like what hardcore is to me, like what it means. And like I thought, own your life, like it like just clicked. Do you know what I mean? And as soon as I text that to Colin, he was like, yeah, definitely, that's brilliant. And like no one's called Own Your Life or has been before, so it kind of went from there.
Excellent. From those early days and right up to date, what's the songwriting process within the band? I mean, Kirk mentioned you're the lyricist, but how do songs come together?
Basically, well, all of it's come about. Like Chris will come up with a song or a few riffs, get together with Edgy, they'll come up with a song and lay it down as a demo, like program it, bring it to the practice room, and then sort of while the rest of the band, the drummer and the bassist, are kind of figuring out the song and ironing it out, like I'll be sat there writing lyrics and jotting stuff down and getting like the tempo down for my lyrics like in my head. I'll literally then go away, finish off writing, and then we'll finish it off in a practice room. That's how it's all been done so far.
Yeah, once it's kind of like demoed down like that, it always starts from like an idea or one riff. Like Old Tour was literally that at the start. It was just me jamming around, and the whole song kind of just went from there. And the idea of the Punisher and stuff kind of comes out of one idea, so it's well loose. So yeah, to get it just some sort of ghost track down, bring it to practice, and then all chip our own bits in, and it kind of morphs out of the original ghost track. It does usually sound quite a bit different. And yeah, that's how it goes.
Okay. Following on from the pandemic and the lockdown and everything, you were, as a band, working really hard to get shows back on, back going. You've only just sort of got your drummer, in the band and everything, but prior to that, you had to program them. And I saw you do a couple of shows where you got programmed drums, and they went really well considering that situation. And you were sort of doing DIY shows out of the rugby club at St Neots. Was it Rugby Ruckus or something you was calling that?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't think you can use that venue anymore. But is there any plans to sort of get any more Own Your Life stage shows in the local area or in St Neots?
Trouble with St Neots, we haven't got a proper music venue. There is what we call the Priory Centre, which is like a big council-run thing, and Grimfest is being held there in November, which our man Paul, who's our tech at the moment, is putting on. Now I'm heavily involved with the skate park as well, the local skate park, and I've put on some stuff down there. So I am planning on putting a bit of a jam sort of festival mini day this summer, so we'll be there hopefully if it all goes to plan. But yeah, venues in St Neots is rubbish.
That's a challenge, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
it's definitely something that we'd like to happen. We'd like to be able to put on a night or promote. We did start a promotions kind of company, but Paul's really got his teeth into it. He's like the main guy of that. He's doing his own company. And I think we're working with him, and we would like to get a more regular. He's doing this Grimfest Dayfest all day thing in St Neots. It's like looking to be quite good, and we can share some information about that later, or send it to you. But that should be really good. But it'd be awesome to have a more, be able to put on our own lights and do that as well as getting shows.
Yeah. Another question for me. You've got your latest EP. You've got the one I mentioned earlier, and there's a few tracks I've heard you play live that you don't think have recorded and released yet. Is there a song, a fan favourite that's always down on the set list, that you'll always play, going forward? Is it like a band favourite, fan favourite is always in the set?
Never admit defeat, surely.
Yes.
Yeah, that I think Escapist and Cretin from the first EP, they probably will always be in the set, I think. They're both tracks we'd like to re-record at some point as well because of how we've evolved since. Don't know about the new EP yet. It's still early days. We just need some more shows and get some more reactions from it. But I do think this Hate is a banger and is going to be a solid one all the time as well.
Yeah, there is tunes in the pipeline. There's like 4 or 5 songs that are like mid something with between me and Edgy as well. And yeah, Andy, like I was thinking as well. I know you really like Saviour. I do want to just get in the bag, bring back Pedantic and Saviour just rehearsed and bring that back and do that in a bit of a newer style.
Before I hand you back to Kirk, I just want to say your Metal to the Masses heat, you were phenomenal, but you had a really tough draw. There, any 2 of those 4 bands could have gone through. I've listened. I've seen them all play before. And just a really tough draw, and you was really unlucky not to go through. So commiserations for that. But Kirk.
Yeah, God, I'll pick up from that. Heaviest band so far in the competition. To me, that's more at the extreme metal end, what you're playing, which is what I gravitate towards. And to hear those really, your new drummer, what a performance. You could hear those double kick beats as well. I think I said in the video, it's almost like you had a rhythm section like Fear Factory certain songs, which to produce that live is so difficult. So, Sam, can I just ask then, the lyric video for the title track?
Yeah.
The lyrics are fantastic when I read through them. Is that a protagonist, or is that you talking about walking through and there's a gang of youths eyeballing you and you're just thinking, fuck you all, I'm going to take you on?
It's exactly that. I've had it before. I think it was walking through London before. All my lyrics, everything is real and it's all in here and from here. So it was like it was a scenario that actually happened, and I just thought, fucking try it. Do you know what I mean? Sorry for swearing, but so that's where that sort of stemmed from. And I think the more the gang and knife culture is getting bigger and bigger in this country, it sits heavy with me. Do you know what I mean? I've got young kids that are going to be in and around that, and it's just to raise a bit of an awareness about it as well.
Yeah, it comes out of the video, doesn't it? You clearly want to draw attention to it in the lyric video at the end, because you start quoting statistics. One that's really interesting is one of the statistics that you use in that is it something like 70% of people who have the knife end up with the damage being inflicted on them.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
inept anyway, aren't they?
Yeah. I think I've not been in that scenario but myself yet, but one of my friends has, and the person wielding the knife is generally quivering in their boots. Do you know what I mean? So it's easy to take it off them, So
mistakes bringing a knife in the first place. It's something that's drilled in. I do martial arts. It's something that's drilled in there. It's about evading it at all costs and learning what is possible, and it's very easy to go wrong for themselves as well. So it's it's not good all around.
What's it like in St. Neots then? I've only lived in the southeast since 2013. I'm originally from the northwest of England, Lancashire, and I remember when I moved here, people in Stevenage would say, "Oh, St. Neots, that's dodgy." Like when they had to play Sunday league football teams, they'd be like, "Dirty bastards! I hate playing against the teams." What is it like, St. Neots? Is it quite a rough place? It doesn't.
Yeah.
No,
Right,
it's not like it used to be. I mean, everywhere has their rough areas, don't they? I mean, back in the day, like early 90s, there was like the Golden Ball pub on the Market Square, and like there was always fights outside every Friday night. It had that sort of reputation, but I think it's not as bad as it used to be anymore. You've always got the bad little youths running around, no matter where you are, ain't you?
Yeah. But I think what surprises me, obviously, you know, that's part of who you are, the band. Even the merchandise says SNHC, doesn't it? St. Neots Hardcore.
Yeah.
I think what surprised me about the EP, how easy would it be just like, yeah, music secondary, we just want to get our message out. And you don't do that. You do both to a really high standard, especially the music as well. Because I was counting in each of those 3 songs on the EP, there's at least 7 different riffs in each of those songs, especially that second one. It's like you just keep pushing yourself. You know, it gets to 3 minutes, you're like, wow, this is a banger. It's like, nope, we're bringing in another riff. And I was like, wow, this is like Machine Head standard. And then this is Never Admit Defeat. And then at the end, there's another one. I'm like, fucking hell, this is brilliant. Loads of technical guitar parts. Is that, so my question is, to what extent have you now become this band that are playing hardcore for metalheads?
I don't know. I think that comes from like Chris's black metal, death metal sort of side of things. And we like to keep the audience guessing, do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of morphed into our own thing, like naturally, just from our different influences. And like these guys are like, we're heavy in the drum and bass scene as well, so there's a bit of that comes in, and you know, the ideology of things. So yeah, we try and push everything all the time, you know.
Yeah, I think we like to. I always keep in my head. I am a hardcore fan. It's not my front thing, but I love it, and it's definitely well up there. Like Sam said, black metal, death metal. Edgy is like his techie stuff and the sugar and things like that. Sounds real true hardcore, and I always have in my head, writing wise, that is the source of hardcore and the feeling of it and all of that. And I start with that, and if it goes off on a bit of a tangent, I always keep it in my mind to come back to it, you can still hear the hardcore, and hopefully it's making a unique sound and creating something that you can. Hardcore heads would be cool with calling it hardcore, but metal people like it for being a bit different, and hopefully, like I said, a unique sound.
Yeah, I mean, the sentiment, what I like about it, there is still positivity. Even the name Own Your Life, it's that sentiment, isn't it? No one's going to give you anything for free. You've got to be self-reliant. You've got to make the most of opportunities. You are going to be beaten down. You've just got to rise up again, haven't you? So fortitude, like I keep going back to that song, Never Admit Defeat. It's refreshing because I'm hearing almost like technical death metal, Gojira type riffs. And then the lyrics are very clear, aren't they? It's like, get out of bed in the morning. You are going to have to make something happen. So I think that's where the hardcore comes from. Sam, is that something that you just said there? When you write lyrics, they're based on true experiences, aren't they? Is that the most important thing to you when you're communicating the message of what the band stands for?
Definitely, yeah. Again, it's like what I think hardcore is. It's real. Do you know what I mean? And it is every song is about a struggle or something I've been through, or life in general. Do you know what I mean? How I see it. So like, that's literally what I want to keep doing. And Own Your Life is like, there's a message there in itself, and that's sort of where Never Admit Defeat come from.
Yeah, that's it. And that when I see a song title like that, it's like when you put a Hatebreed album on, like their last album, and there's a lyric, "Don't give in to the curse of the fatalist." I just thought, this is great. It sounds like Slayer with a bit of green metal, and this is a really positive message as well. You know, fucking get out there, make things happen. Don't moan, about your life. Don't fucking do something. I just love that.
Yeah, 100%.
So the next thing I was going to ask as well, on the new EP, so you've got a new drummer. So this is probably a bit of a strange question, but what is the one song on your new 3-track EP that is most unlike the material you've written in the past? Which is the one song on there? You think, well, this is definitely new territory.
I think it's this hate. Yeah, I mean, for the first riff with the pitch harmonics in it that Edgy wrote, that's completely different to anything we've written so far. But as soon as I heard that, I was blown away.
Yeah.
Like I think it's that tune. I'm hoping that that's where we're heading. I think that's sort of
Edgy brought that to the table. It influenced me as well because it just gives more dynamics for me to think about. Like I was saying, sticking to the hardcore thing, look, I can keep that in mind as well. And obviously we jammed together, and he brought an amazing song to the table.
What's the, as a hardcore band, you're not always going to be playing in front of an audience that will understand the music, and your music's very confrontational. Like Chris, for example, at the Metal to the Masses heat, you just, you've got a wireless guitar and you're just walking around playing these slam riffs, aren't you? I mean, what's the most difficult gig you've played where you've just like, shit, how do we get our message across to these people?
I've got an answer to that.
You were there.
Remember that band competition in Bishop Stortford?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was a bit
such a mixed feel, wasn't it?
Yeah, we played with quite different bands, didn't we? And
it's very different. Yeah, that was hard. I think that with that though, it was very musically diverse. It was like opposite ends of the scale, and it was a battle of the bands thing. We almost said like we'll just play, it's fine, kind of thing. But we still just got on with everyone, and people off stage still appreciate each other's like musical ability and stuff. So I suppose dealing with it was just that I think people just was, as they were, it wasn't a massive crowd, so most of the people were bands and musicians. So I think it was cool that way because people just kind of like appreciated each other's playing or musical style or ability.
Yeah, you're all in it together, aren't you? Regardless of the genre, you're all musicians and artists. So I'm going to finish on a light-hearted question, and then I'll hand you over to Andy to ask about your future plans following this EP that came out on the 10th of March. So you've probably already answered this. Which member of the band is most likely to drag you away from your hardcore roots, given the taste in music? I know you mentioned drum and bass, that you're heavily involved in that scene as well.
I think it's got to be Chris.
Well, when you say you got Adrian, he likes jazz and funk and stuff, but I don't everyone knows what the band's about, and that it is what it's about, and that's what you need. The hardcore is the basis of it, and I don't think I don't think anyone will be allowed to. I will want to drag it away from that completely and be a completely different sound. I don't quite like it when bands become a completely different sounding band. I think they should have just started a new band and named themselves something different. So I like to try and keep some theme of the sound of the band going forever and never come away completely from something.
That's Andy's bugbear. How many times, Andy, do you talk about that with bands like Theatre of Tragedy?
Exactly that.
Andy, do you want to wrap up then? Just ask about the future plans.
Yeah, I mean, you've touched on a few things that are happening for the rest of the year, but yeah, basically, what's the rest of 2023 hold in store for Own Your Life?
We're training a stand-in guitarist so we can continue stuff over the summer, and
that's because Edgy works away in the summer.
And get right in and hopefully follow up this EP fairly quickly with a full album. That's the plan, and like whatever gigs come up along the way.
And I'm guessing it sounds like, you said that you'd started a promotional company as well during COVID. I'm guessing you want to do this DIY. You're not really going to be bothered about a record label. Do you want to do all this yourself?
Yeah. We've done everything ourselves already as well.
In terms of recording and producing, I have a bit of a producing background. Edgy has a very good. He is a producer. He's a recording engineer, and he has done like the recording and mastering and everything. So yeah, it's brilliant in that. So that in that sense, DIY. I wouldn't turn my nose down to a proper promoter. you know, being part of a promotional company for the band, if it was right and was pushing the band in the right direction and getting you the right shows and actually doing something, definitely wouldn't turn my nose up at that at all. And I wouldn't turn my nose up if a label wanted to do something and say, would you do an album or a few EPs and offer something? I wouldn't, if it was right.
Yeah.
Century Media, something like that. That'd be
that'd be nice.
We just reviewed a Century Media artist, haven't we, tonight, Andy?
Again?
We just reviewed that Century Media band, Jesus Piece, didn't we? Tonight, their album, the Pennsylvania hardcore band.
I love Jesus Piece.
Yeah, it's a good album. That it's, you know, it didn't quite. I don't think the second half was as strong as the first half, but so aggressive, isn't it? And
they're great. Yeah, brilliant live as well.
Yeah, and you did hit the nail on the head. Century Media, yeah, what a good label and broad, everything on there really just good. Yeah,
especially for you, Chris. It's basically metallic hardcore, black metal, and death metal, isn't it?
Yeah. I think basically we email them up. Send them an EP. I'll get on the phone to them.
Yeah, use your charm. Exactly. So we need to be on your roster. We are the future. So thanks very much for joining us then. Andy and I will definitely be at the next gig. And it's good that you say you're training up a new guitarist because Edgy works away during the summer. Clearly, you know, you're really driven and just want to promote this new EP. I urge everyone who's watching this, just go on Bandcamp. Can they buy a physical copy or is it just digital?
Not yet. There will be physical copies available at our shows very soon. But download it for free. It's all on all the streaming services as well. So it's easy to get.
Yeah, if you do download it on the Bandcamp, you do get all the artwork and stuff as well.
Oh, okay, dear. Yeah,
you get the artwork and like what will be the CD inlay and everything, and the lyrics are all in there as well. It's download.
And you want the good thing is as well with your music, it's good on Bandcamp because you can see the lyrics as well. I like to follow the songs because of the realism, you know, in the lyrics. To me, that's certainly one of the big draws with this type of music. So thanks very much, Chris. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for having us. Cheers.
Cheers.